Hello. Hi, everybody. Let the record show who was here first. The Dominic. Yo, what's going on, guys? It's your boy Dom, aka Dominic, aka Dominic Vane, aka the Dominic, aka the best pilot in this Discord server.
Is Santi late again?
Man,
Unacceptable.
you know how it is around here, man.
Santi, you're late.
No way.
Santi, you're probably. Hey, man, you're 49 seconds late. I need an excuse.
My browser is crashing. Is that a good excuse?
That honestly, yeah, that is a pretty good excuse. He's not lying either.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's getting frustrating. Had to close all my accounts, so I need to reopen all my emails. It's a pain. It's a pain, but it is what it is. It is what it is. So yeah, guys, welcome to the brew number 83, and today we have the Sage Labs. We will be talking about Sage Labs with our game design team. So I think we'll have Giuliano. I don't know if Chip is going to be able to join. I see Chip actually. I see Chip in the audience, but I was told, Chip, that you had a call, so I don't know if you were able to stay, but it would be great for you to stay. But we will also have Giuliano as well. Chip, I just gave you priority speaker, so you now shouldn't need push to talk, and you are probably unmuted, so careful. And I'm going to do the same for Giuliano as well today, right now. Just setting everything up live. That's how we do it. It's what it is. But let me
Live
introduce
show.
my two co-hosts as always. Jose, how are you, man?
I'm doing great, Santi. I just left a very interesting live with the Brazilian community. It seems the interest in Sage Labs is picking up, which is awesome. And we are just getting started. So I'm also super excited to be talking with the guys behind this marvelous beginning of the journey here, Chip and Giuliano. I'm sure this is going to be a very interesting and entertaining conversation.
Jose, what is going on with the Brazilian community? They are loving labs, right?
Man, Brazilians are a wild species, right? We are those passionate guys that want to rule the world. And when we see something new like Sage Labs, Brazil always wants to leave its mark. So, yeah, exponential growth in Brazilian community, super fun. I have
Huge.
my agenda booked the whole week with interviews with Brazilian community members. So, super excited about that.
So, if there are also any Argentinians listening here, guys, what are we doing? Come on. There is no way. There's no way. We need to beat the Brazilians at everything, as always.
We are gonna
So,
flip them.
yeah, Juliano, right.
Meh,
Right. We
Santi,
have an Argentinian, finally, another Argentinian team member.
yeah, but Giuliano knows that Brazil is the place to come, right, Giuliano? Tell them.
The only thing that I'm gonna say is that I love Brazilian people unless we're talking about football, man.
I have to agree with
Understandable.
that. I have to agree with that. But yeah, we are the World Cup champions now, so Brazilians have to shut up on this one. But yeah,
Jeez.
let's move. Let's continue moving. Let's continue moving. Dominic Bain, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. I woke up this morning. I drank a full gallon of water. I'm feeling energized. I'm feeling good to go. I'm ready to talk with the game design team about whatever the hell we're talking about. And I'm ready to get started. I'm excited.
Awesome. Let's get started. I think we have some noteworthy news before hopping on the topics with the guys here. So we had a Ogri Kanirok sneak peek,
Oh
which
yeah.
is looking really good.
Oh yeah.
Really
Do
good.
me a solid, everybody, and I'm going to post the link to the sneak peek. And if you haven't seen it already, go look at it because the Agriconeer is just looking damn good. It's
And
looking
it's
really good.
ready.
Yeah,
It's
and it's ready.
completely
Yep.
ready.
It's the final model, final in game model. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. It's looking very
Doesn't
clean.
even
I
look like a
like.
game.
It doesn't.
Yeah, right. I would like to have that chair for me. Like,
I know, yeah.
looks like a gaming chair. I love it.
Yeah, the big plus for me with these images was definitely the interior. Like, yeah, what you're saying, Santi, the chair,
Yeah.
the floating globe. There's also a punab. I don't think it's in this image, but I think we've seen it before, where there's a punab like at the head of the interior on the dashboard. Man, I'm in love with the interior of the ship. It's probably my favorite so far. So shout out to the team. Looks good. Looks great.
Yeah, man. Like the details of the leather-like chair, like it's just too good. I love it. I'll send the picture itself in the chat. But,
Mm-mm-mm.
oh my god, looking good,
My
looking
God,
good.
man, those punabs know what they are doing, man.
They know, they know, they know. We also posted an image about the loot that you guys will be able to obtain uh, via golden tickets as
Oh
well.
yeah. If you guys have ever been interested about what items are craftable, what the quantity is in Sage Labs, same thing for the golden ticket drawings. We have a list of all the loot that you'll be able to get during the golden ticket event. It's not divided up into the 8 different weeks, but at least you have a list of all the items, and you'll learn before the golden ticket event starts which items are in which week. But if you just want a general idea of the loot you'll be able to get during Sage Labs, definitely go check out the image if you haven't already.
Yeah, and as you were saying, Dom, if you guys are curious about what is coming on each of the weeks for the golden uh, tickets, we will have those details very soon, out very soon. So stay tuned for that one. Stay tuned.
Daddy lads.
We also open platformed the tools for developers for Sage Labs, and you can find all the details in the build program. And also, if you scroll down here in the chats and you find the community developers channel, if you're looking to develop anything, you can go there. And if you're working on anything, just post it in there. And we have like our engineers that are super active, just checking what is going on in those channels and replying to the questions that you guys have. So don't be shy. If you're working on building something for Star Atlas, don't be shy and just go there and ask the questions. Plus, there's something new, which is we will have a presence at Breakpoint. We'll have a presentation that Michael Wagner will be doing at Breakpoint. And we would like to save one of the slides that we have for that presentation, for the Stratlas presentation, for the tools that the developers are building. So if you're building anything using the Stratlas build program, and more specifically the the platform that we just opened for the Sage Labs side of things, please make sure to reach out to us and just and ask any questions that you need to get things done, because we would love to share at Breakpoint what you guys are building, and we have a slide reserved just for that. So make sure that you guys let us know if you're working on anything. Uh, Speaking about builders, we wanted to give a shout out to Galia Art Station as well.
Oh man, yeah,
So
yeah.
they've
Here
been crushing it.
I'm gonna link a tweet. They, if you don't know who Galliard Station is, they're working on some models for the 3D printed models for the ships, and they have like professional photography happening with the ships they're creating. I'm just gonna post some images here as well, so you guys can look at it without clicking the link. But man, it looks so good. I don't even have an arc, but that looks sick.
I do, and that
Man.
looks sick.
No way you're flexing your fleet, bro. No way,
uh,
bro.
I'm proud of my arc, man. Come on. I'm proud of my arc.
You should be. That's a beautiful chip.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Kenny, you've been crushing it, man. Working on like 10 different projects inside Star Atlas, plus the kids as well, taking care of them. My gosh,
Doing
absolute
God's work,
legend.
man.
Absolute legend. Yeah. And I know we don't have this one in the agenda, but we have Funcracker here, and Funcracker is helping to organize. I would say he's the main guy organizing the meetups that we'll be having at Breakpoint. So I don't know, Funcracker, if we're able to get those Luma links ready for people to start applying, or he did.
Let's
He did.
go.
Oh,
Let's do
oh,
it.
we're
I posted them.
Let's go, man. Tell us a little bit more. I know we talked about it in the last brew, but just very briefly of the two events that we'll be having.
Yes, for sure, especially now that things are finalized. So the meetup is going to be October 31st, Tuesday, starting at 6 p.m. There will be a dinner cruise part, the first part of the evening. This is a boat trip with an Indonesian buffet that will go for 2 hours through the Amsterdam canals. The boat leaves at the exact same location where the Lana ferry starts and ends for those also attending Breakpoint itself. And the boat will actually end very near the cafe where we host the second part of the evening. And the second part of the evening will be drinks and socializing in a cafe in the center of Amsterdam. So there are two events.
Yeah.
The,
What's up?
yo,
Oh,
yes.
Sorry.
There are two events. The first is the dinner cruise. Unfortunately, I mean, well, it goes for everything, but it is a paid endeavor. Like last year, everything is for your own account. So in this specific case, since we have to reserve the boat, have to reserve the food, all that stuff, it actually is required to pay upfront. Since Luma, fortunately, allows for payment, that is kind of included in the Luma system. The price is 74 euros per person. I know it's not cheap. Unfortunately, Amsterdam is not Lisbon. It's absolutely more expensive in this city, but hopefully still enticing enough to join. And the second part, the drinks and socializing, of course, is for free between quotes, but of course you have to pay your own drinks and bites. But there's no entrance fee or any kind. The first event, at least 40 people will be able to join, possibly more if we have to, but it's a first come first serve, so please register as soon as possible. And for the second part, of course, there's also a limit. The cafe has not endless capacity, but we should be good going up to at least 80 there. So I don't think we'll get there, but if a lot of folks suddenly want to join, then that part of the evening at least should
Oh
be
yes.
guaranteed.
Uh,
Exactly. So yeah, that's I guess the short of it. Do check the two Luma links I just posted, and yeah, hope to see many folks there.
yeah, someone was loving those events for sure.
Yeah,
Right, exactly.
somebody losing their shit there for a second.
Oh yeah. I love it. Yeah, yes. But why that?
Awesome.
Nice. Good that you love it. But yeah, guys, if you want to register, the links were sent. If you can send them again, Funcracker, to Luma links, just so people can register, that will be great. Beautiful. So you guys can register if you're going to Breakpoint.
Of course, I also post them in the Breakpoint channel itself, but I posted them again.
Yeah, great. Cool. I think we can move to the main topic. Dom, Jose, anything that I missed here?
No, I think you got it all.
Yep.
That is great. So let's move to the main topic. We will be talking about Sage, not only labs, but I would say Sage as a whole today with Chip and Giuliano. But first, let's introduce Giuliano. I think Giuliano, this is the first time that you're here with the community in the Atlas Brew. So welcome to the brew, my friend.
Giuliano, welcome,
Thank you,
man.
my friend. Thank you. Pleasure to be here, man.
Yeah, my fellow Argentinian, absolute legend. I think it would be cool if you tell us a little bit about what you do at Star Atlas, just very briefly.
Yeah, so I'm the lead game designer for Sage, a couple of other projects as well, but mostly focused on Sage. Everything Sage related right now.
Beautiful.
That's
Beautiful.
a
You're
huge.
the correct guy for this conversation.
kinda. I mean, I can I can hopefully shed some light on what the community wants to ask. But yeah, me and Chip mostly focus on everything that is game design around Sage.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. And I don't know if we'll have Chip. I see him in the audience, but I don't know, Chip, if you will be able to stay here.
No, I'm here. There was an a sound effects weekly call that I wanted to attend because I want to get some additional sounds for our breakpoint footage. I was gonna attend that, but Brad was able to fill in for me, so I didn't want to rug the brew and not show up. So here I am.
This
Nice,
is
nice.
awesome. This is
We
Iris
appreciate
working.
that.
Iris working, man.
The cosmic currents
The cosmic
helping
currents. They
helping the
always
brew,
do.
helping the brew. So we have a couple questions prepared for you guys, but then we'll do some open Q&A with the community. Um, I think it's cool if you guys are ready to start with some of the questions that we prepared for you today. And I know, Chip, you joined the Metaverse Nomads as well very recently, so you're completely battle tested for this one for sure. Because
Yeah, I
Nomads
mean,
always ask good questions.
I think I spoke a lot at that one, so I was actually gonna let Giuliano take lead today and just pull me in if we need any more insight on anything.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. That sounds great. So let's start with the first question. We wanted to know, guys, if there's anything that you have learned from Sage Labs that maybe will affect the way you design Sage and Star Atlas.
So he's throwing me under the bus. That right?
Yeah, that's what
Absolutely.
we do at the brew. It's the
Yeah.
Bible.
Standard procedure.
Yeah,
Standard
If you don't,
procedure. All
this
right.
is what I said last time, but if you don't feel uncomfortable when you're on the brew, then we're not doing something right. So
um, so yeah, with regards of your question, there is a couple of things that, at least personally, I learned from this last release. So I don't know if you heard about the principle of good enough. It's something really common both in software and in systems design. If it were up to me, I gotta say that I would still be working on Sage, not only on the UX side and the experience in itself, but also on the systems, right? On how the systems work with each other and how many systems could we squeeze into this release. Um, and so what I learned is that even though if I think that we could release something that is more robust gameplay wise, people still gonna love what we're releasing, right? So we flipped Ethereum and Polygon in transactions, so that's a good measure of how much people is loving the game. And yeah, so I think that's one of the lessons that it's like something like a concept, right? That I could apply for the next designs coming up for Sage.
yeah, absolutely. And I think that approach always has been the best, I think, in terms of releasing new products that have never been done before, like something like Sage Labs, where it's you take more the approach of you release it, you see how people take it, and just pivot or adapt based on that feedback. And we have the blessing of having a community in such an early stage as well, where you can tap into them and make sure you will I can assure you they will give you the feedback on what they like, what they don't like, and based on that, like it's a lot easier to improve your product as well. So I really
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that it's
yeah. You're correct. Yeah, you're correct in that regard. The hard part comes when to draw the line on when a product is good enough, right? For me, sometimes it's hard to draw the line, and I think given the business constraints that we had, that we needed to release something, that drawing was like forcibly drawn, and yeah, it turned out okay. But if it were out for me, I will still be working on stage. But I love the things how they played out, and yeah, and that is a lesson learned for me as well, right? In the good sense.
That's
Cool,
good.
man. Yeah, I have a spicy question. This is a spicy one,
Oh
man.
no.
Like, get ready, dude. Okay, so it's pretty hot button topic in the community right now. How does game design, your guys' team, see bots inside of the game?
It is indeed a spicy one.
Let's
I'm prepared to
go.
answer this, Juliana. If you want to call
No,
dodgeball and give it to me.
no, maybe I can answer and then you give
Yeah.
yours. Because yeah, what I think we take as a rule of thumb here is um, the bots definitely are not our friends, but they are also not our enemies, right? At least me personally, I see them as inevitable, right? They are an inevitable force. So we design around them, right? Like we know that a mechanic is it has the potential to be botted, right? But if it has the potential to be botted, then we might be doing something wrong because it's also a brain dead mechanic, right? Like for instance, I don't know if let's say that we were discussing a couple of weeks ago if docking and undocking will give XP or something like that, right? So maybe that's bottable, but it is also not an engagement mechanic, right? If people were able to do that, then and gain XP through just undocking or docking, then people will just spam that, right? And that will not be an engagement mechanic. We want to give XP for engagement mechanics such as mining, or I don't know, scanning or crafting, that kind of stuff. So uh, we have to design around them, but also they serve as a good rule of thumb of do's and don'ts, in my opinion. I don't know. What do you think, Chip, on this regard?
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I was going to give a bit more context on kind of what our approach to date has been, and I know a lot of people have commented. We're not very clear on our botting guidelines, right? It's a bit ambiguous what our official stance is, and I mean, let me paint the picture for you. There's a spectrum. We have zero tolerance for bots, right? And some people would prefer that. Some people would not prefer that. That might stifle innovation. That could have unintended consequences where we don't have as much volume in our economy. We don't. It's less liquid. And then there's the other side of the spectrum where we have absolutely don't care. Like bots are totally allowed. You know there's zero instances where we don't disincentivize bots. And then we're gonna piss off people by taking that stance because then it undermines the player base and the time they're putting into the game because if you can just automate it away, what's the point of playing? So those are the two extremes we have to work with. I don't think either one of the extremes are the right call. It needs to be somewhere in the middle. But is it clear yet to us, to everybody, where the optimal position in the middle of that spectrum is? No, and I think it's and I think we've been a bit vocal recently that we're experimenting. We're trying to find that middle ground where you know we want to encourage like innovation and creating tool sets and leveling the playing field for players to bot certain actions that maybe are ripe for automation or for reducing the amount of strain. We certainly can't make right now every single like on-chain transaction require human interaction, such as solving a puzzle or a captcha. I think that would actually be in the wrong direction if we tried to make the game interface such that only a human is capable of playing it. Because simple bottable activities still can be fun, like going around and searching um, searching a grid space and scanning around while moving. Like and I'll explain kind of some of the things I'm thinking about to improve scanning here in a little bit. But like exploring and searching for things, and even though it requires repetitive actions of scanning, that can be fun if presented to the player the right way. So all is to say is that we are trying to find that middle ground. We recently, made an announcement where we're experimenting with allowing the community to all engage with this with an automation script around scanning. But we're also going forward, and we've learned a lot on the system design on like how do we how are we going to continue to build on Sage such that the environment is complex enough such that botting has to anyone that is botting, there's risk involved, and there's more strategy, and the human behind the bot has to make smart decisions. So I talked about on Metaverse Nomads recently where when we had combat, now somebody that's botting, say scanning, they have to weigh the fact that their fleet can get destroyed. And players that don't like bots or players that can identify them pretty easily on the game board, they can go and hunt those bots. So it's there's like this natural balance that will emerge as we add more gameplay systems that have risk associated with them, and perhaps maybe the botting maybe gets secluded to the low risk areas but the reward of botting those areas is very low, right? Like you could get a lot more yield for your time, yield in terms of points, Atlas items, whatever. Yield can take many forms, but you get a lot more yield for your time by taking a risk. But that risk is in a complex battleground where you probably want to have a human behind the actions, right? So bit of a long-winded answer, but I just wanted to paint the picture on there's a spectrum. I think either end of the spectrum is the wrong answer. It's somewhere in the middle, and we're still exploring, trying to find the optimal balance there.
I think I've heard you say it, and I've heard a lot of other people say it, but I think it goes something like the best counter to bots is good game design. And I think with you and Giuliano, I'm not worried at all. So I'm sure we'll get there. We'll figure it out. We'll test things.
Yeah.
So I have no worries.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. And I will say one of the things we've learned from Sage Labs is like the scanning mechanic was too simple. We erred on the side of good enough, but the scanning mechanic, I argue, wasn't good enough. And we've taken that feedback. We're looking at what's happening, and we have some fixes lined up already in the near term that I anticipate are going to improve
Yeah,
that gameplay loop.
yeah, that's really interesting, Chip, and connects with my next question. What are some next features that will be implemented in Sage? Like, how is the future of Sage in yours and Giuliano's eyes?
Do you want me to take this one, or do
Yeah,
you
go
want
for
to
it.
take it?
You got it.
Okay, so at the risk of leaking or doing leaks jobs for him, what we are working on right now, and in no specific order, is Starbase upgrading, combat, and a couple of progression systems that people will be able to start pre-leveling in Star Atlas, in Sage. Sorry, I don't want to go deep into each one, but
I think we
in a
can.
big
I already linked it
no.
all in Metaverse Nomad, so let's talk
Oh,
about
okay.
yeah. Let's talk about Starbase upgrading, Starbase LP counter rank, all of that coming with Starbase. Let's get into it.
All right. So in a Starbase upgrade, we will predefine that as we did right now in Sage Labs. We're going to predefine each star system with the starbase belonging to a faction, right? The difference now is going to be in the lowest level possible, and people on that faction can crowdsource the resources in order to upgrade the starbase. Upgrading the starbase will grant benefits for that faction, as well as award LP for individual people contributing to that upgrade. I don't know, Chip, if you want to add something there.
Yeah, I just want to make it clear that with Starbase, so we're going to be on labs for a while. And by a while, I mean like the foreseeable future, but we're working towards this next big release of Starbase. where there's going to be a transition period where you're going to have to move your fleets, your ships, and your resources from one game ID to another. What does that mean exactly? So the concept of a game ID is almost imagine a different world or instance of a game, and that means that because we're going to be significantly changing the game mechanics, it doesn't make sense it wouldn't be clean to try to update the existing world or instance of the Sage map. It would make more sense to turn off all of the emissions, so turn off the asteroids, turn off the crafting, the craftables in Sage Labs, and ask players to move all of their resources over to another game ID, and that new game ID would be Starbase. And so moving your assets from one to the other would just mean get your ships back to the CSS. You still have to pay fuel. You're still subject to freighting your things around. You're not just able to teleport all your stuff out. Sorry for the people who might have assumed that, but you can get all of your assets out through the CSS, get into your wallet, then re-import all of that into the new game ID. In the new game ID, where Starbase will take place, all the map will essentially start out with the 17 star systems per faction still. So each faction still has their own ownership of 17 star systems, but now they will only be starting out with the CSS, and then tier 0 platforms or tier 0 star bases, basically populating their 17 star systems. And what a tier 0 star base is essentially allows you to dock, but you can't craft anything yet. You can't all you can do is deposit materials and start upgrading and building that starbase. And then when the starbase gets to tier 1, then some additional recipes get unlocked, and all the way up into tier 5, where now that starbase essentially operates at the same level as the CSS or close to it, and you have all the recipes available at that starbase again. So it'll be a race per faction to see who can populate 17 star systems the fastest, and we're exploring the idea of there being a reward for the faction that wins that race. So there's a lot there. We'd be adding from labs to Starbase, we'd be adding the idea of being able to crowdsource the upgrade and construction of Starbases. We'd be adding in loyalty points, which is a progression or a reward for engaging in activities that the factions are trying to advocate or reward. So the actions that will give you LP will essentially be depositing those upgrade materials to star bases, and you'll be able to use LP for different things. So the obvious one is LP will essentially be a proxy for earning Atlas in the game. So imagine that you earn a certain amount of LP for applying or depositing those upgrade materials to star bases. You earn, say, 1,000 LP that day, and that day your faction has a million Atlas to give out to the players. What you would do is you take your 1,000 LP and you say, okay, I want to contribute 500 of that LP towards earning Atlas back for that day. So then it takes your 500. It takes the total amount of LP everybody else in your faction devoted to that day. So let's say everybody else devoted another 500. So you have 50% of the total LP or LP committed for that day for your faction. You take that 50%, 500 divided by 1,000, multiply that by the million your faction gets for that day, and you get 500,000 Atlas, which hypothetically those numbers make no sense. I'd be very surprised if somebody earned 50% of the LP for one day, but maybe I'll eat my words there. And then the other one would be, I don't think it'd be, a million Atlas per day. I think it'd be more per faction. But that means that you're proportionally rewarded for your activity level. So, and if there's days where fewer people are playing, but you're playing more, you'll get more rewards back per action. So Also, if your faction has fewer members or less activity going on than the other two factions, you're getting more Atlas per LP because so that's kind of a self-balancing mechanism. The last thing I'll say about Starbase, so there's LP being added. Actually, I'll finish on LP. But you'll also be able to spend LP on other things, so not just earning Atlas back. Why would you not contribute all of your LP for that day? You could spend it on. There's going to be a LP reward store, so you'll be able to use your LP for exclusive rewards, similar to redemptions now. LP will be used to get some of those redemption recipes. And then we're introducing the idea of licenses, where you're going to want to start leveling up your career specific licenses, and LP will be involved in doing that as well. So LP is going to have a lot of uses, and it's going to be really interesting. What do I use my LP on? Do I get Atlas back? Do I start upgrading my licenses? Do I save up for a really neat redemption reward or exclusive ship or other item that we have in our promotions?
Yeah.
That
So,
yeah. Go ahead.
sorry. As a rule of thumb, you could say that you earn LP by doing actions that will contribute towards your faction, right? Like Chip was saying, Starbase upgrade. Also, Starbase upkeep, which we are also introducing with Starbase upgrade. The higher a tier for your Starbase, the harder it will be to maintain it operational. Right now, it only impacts crafting, but in the future, it will also impact Starpath, which is a method of travel. And when we introduce combat, it will hamper the ability to regenerate the shields of the Starbase. Just for instance, for example, for you guys to have an idea of how that will work.
That's super cool, man.
I'm sure people have questions, so let's take a few from the community, because we just shared a lot of information. Let me see. People are asking if there's gonna be UI improvements with Starbase. I'm not sure if you guys can cover that.
So yeah, we're targeting releasing Starbase on Play Canvas, which is the 3D game engine, web-based game engine that you essentially you saw sneak peeks of it with EV. Imagine playing Sage Labs in that kind of 3D environment. That's what we're targeting, but with more improvements. EV wasn't our final kind of threshold of fidelity there. So yeah, that's our target. We always have the backup plan of further improving Sage Labs and adding more there in the interim. But as a team, we're working towards trying to get Starbase released on Play Canvas.
Mm-hmm. Great. I think people are
And
going
can
to
I
get
very
excited
briefly
about.
chime in there?
Yeah, sure.
If I may, just just quick question, Chip. Because Michael mentioned that Sage Labs would probably always be updated before any new product or Starbase will be updated. Are you saying that is likely not going to be the case?
So these are ongoing conversations on that we're still having internally, whether we continue to support Sage Labs or do we go all in on Play Canvas. Regardless, we want feature parity of Labs with Play Canvas. So that's what we're working on right now in the near term, is getting Play Canvas to support everything that you can do in Labs, right? The question still remains: any future updates, are we going to build those directly into Play Canvas, or are we going to go through Sage Labs first? It's not clear to us yet, and the reason why it's not clear is because we need to be 100% certain that we're not going to be limited by our ability to deliver new features on Play Canvas. So in the next few weeks, we'll have a lot more clarity, especially now that a lot of our engineers that were working on Sage Labs, they've migrated over to working in the Play Canvas environment.
Gotcha. Thanks a bunch for that clarifies a lot. Thanks.
Yep.
There's another question that I see here. Can we populate more than 17 star bases? For example, if us, the Onis, of course, want to conquer all the all the galaxy. Can we do that?
That's right.
Go for it, Julian.
So I did push for a couple of swing star systems, but the reality is that we are not there yet, at least with the mechanics, right? So no, the short answer is no. You only have the ability to populate the fixed star systems that you start with.
Cool. Yeah. I'm sure Usters are happy with the news.
Bro, you got easily out of this, bro.
um, cool. I think I don't see any extra questions, so I think we could
There
move
was
to a
one
topic.
of Ray.
Oh, yeah.
Ray asked
Should it?
one.
Should it? Yeah, sure.
Well, it was just around Polis and how LP is related to it. Not necessarily a timeline, but when we get to that point, or if you want to share anything that, yeah, how Polis is related with LP.
Chip, do you want to take it?
Yeah, sure. So right now, there's no immediate plans to tie Polis to LP, but that doesn't mean we can't add that. I had recent conversations with Jose about when we get combat online, exploring the possibility of adding some in-game utility for Polis. So it's on our radar, but nothing official like that would be coming to that with Starbase. We're still focusing on the core mechanics of just getting Starbase upgrading and construction online, and then the LP and XP systems.
Awesome. Thanks.
Cool. So now let's fast forward even more than Starbase, and let's talk a little bit about combat, which is something that I know a lot of people are looking forward to that. So again, we know it's very early, but do you have some options of what combat could look like? Do you have any thoughts on that?
We do. We have more than one actually.
Okay.
But you have to understand a couple of things first. If it were up to us, we would have designed combat and delivered that a long time ago, right? And you also have to understand that every design that we made is or that we make is based upon assumptions that we have from other teams, right? Mostly blockchain, but also econ and leadership, right? So
Yeah.
like if you were to ask me 1 year ago, we had combat ready to be delivered, right? But then our assumptions change. Like a new technology came up that before we thought that it was impossible to implement on the blockchain. Now Brett or Michael Kane say, hey, we can do this on the blockchain, it's pretty easy. And then something's changed in the design given that news, and we change the design for combat, right? We go forward, everyone's likes it, and we are settled. And then the cycle starts over again, right? And this has been true for for most of the time we try to design a combat system that will fit into the requirements that we have for this game. And well, to go into specifics, the latest combat design we were calling it ABC. I don't know, Chip, how deep do you want me to go here? I fear that I might be leaking something, you know. But
Let me just say, while we did go through a lot of combat, not a lot, maybe like two or three different combat iterations, like big chunky ones. It's not like we had engineering resources spinning their wheels, building combat, scrapping it, building it. It was more the design team. We kept redesigning, so it was design resources that kind of had to go back to the drawing board and redesign things. To date, we haven't really we haven't really had blockchain building the on-chain combat systems yet, but that's changed very recently. Where we have a small Tiger team now devoted to prototyping our first MVP of combat. So we have our latest designs of combat. We have some resources devoted to making that prototype come to fruition, in anticipation of once Starbase gets released, we're gonna want combat next. So what we wanted to do is let's start working on combat now, so that it's when Starbase is released, we're well on our way to getting that delivered.
Yeah, that's a
So
good clarification.
yeah,
Nothing was implemented yet, and everything that we went back and forth is just on the design side, right? But no line of code has been like
yeah.
written right now.
So we're in a good spot now to like to start breaking ground on combat. And now I think is a good time, Juliana, to maybe give some, I don't know, some high level overviews of what combat could look like based on the current designs.
Yeah. So, and this is changing from even as recently as the last week, but our latest idea of combat, I was saying it was called ABC, and that is action based combat, which essentially will take each person to like pair one attack to one transaction, right? If you're in a system and your target is in the same system, you can target it with an attack, and in the same transaction, that target will retaliate with another attack, right? So it could happen in the same transaction, both of you are destroyed, and I can go deeper into that, but you get the idea. Like every attack will represent a transaction, and it will be a change of state on the blockchain, and it will end there, right? It's more like we are not creating an instance of combat. We are only creating like a transaction of combat, right? Whereas an earlier iteration, we were thinking about more instance, right? You see a battle building up in a sector, and then you could join, right? But then you will lose control of your fleet, and then you can only retrieve that fleet based on the result of that battle, right? And of course, any rewards attached to it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could shed some more light where we at right now, Chip.
Yeah, we
With
went
the
from
trophy system.
instanced auto battling to more action based initiated battle, where you choose a fleet, you choose the fleet you want to attack with, you choose the fleet you want to attack, you make sure you have enough attack power, and then you fire, and it doesn't attack. The fleet automatically retaliates, depending on the stance of that fleet, and then your attack goes on cooldown, and then you can attack again. And then that would be like at its simplest, the MVP. Oh, on top of that, as we add more complexity, the idea to continue to auto attack once you've engaged in a battle or engaged in attack, different types of attacks. A lot of layers we can add on top of that, but we really want to get an MVP out such that essentially you can move around, you can see other fleets, and you can choose to attack them. Not have I prefer this system over having like clicking, hey, I want to attack you. Now let's enter a lobby for 30 seconds and see if anyone else wants to join our little battle we're gonna have. And then it all auto resolves, and somebody had to die, or somebody basically it's all the battles are to destruction. Or some like you roll a chance to flee. That wasn't as satisfying as, hey, I can do guerrilla tactics here. I can come in, I can attack you, I can leave, or
Yeah.
I can choose to attack you a couple times. I feel like I'm gonna lose. I can try to leave. They can try to follow me. It's much more dynamic, and I think will much more engaging. So that's the vision of where we're going. We'll get more clarity once the prototypes are built, but really excited because the entire team is chomping at the bit to get combat in. We're highly prioritizing it. We just think that getting Starbase upgrading and makes more sense as the next step, since the Starbase products need to go into something, which is the Starbase upgrading. So
Yeah, and there is one more layer to like player choice or gameplay as it is with ABC, that at the moment of your of fleet creation, when you are putting together your fleet, you can also choose your damage type. Your damage type will be affected against different types of armor, like namely shield and hull. So it depends on your damage type. How will you affect these armor values, right? Um, so it also gives some player choice, and we think that is attractive. And this is we're mostly leaning towards this design, to be honest.
I see a question from Raiko in the chat. What is going to be the loss if you get destroyed?
You get destroyed, your cargo essentially, and it's going to cost you some time and toolkits to get back up and running. And then the person or the people in the area that are there when you're destroyed can essentially loot the cargo. We there would be a burn on the cargo, so imagine that you had 100 iron in your cargo bay. Imagine a percentage of that's burned, and then the rest is floating in space, ready to be picked up by whoever destroys you or anyone else in the area. We're also exploring the idea that the person that got the last hit, and I know there's a lot of complexity around last hits and percentage of basically a loot distribution is a complex problem um, because it at its simplest, we just look at who did the last hit. They're the one who has access to the loot for a certain amount of time, and then it opens up to everybody else. But a more fair system would be distribute the loot proportionally to how much damage was done. But that would have to. We're thinking that's going to be a second a layer of complexity added on after the first version of combat. Regardless, all I'm trying to say is that when you get destroyed, your cargo, a portion of that gets burned, and the rest is lootable.
Yeah, that's a good
Cool.
point, Chip. What and it goes back to what I was saying at the beginning of this brew. What is good enough, right? We know that might not be popular to do just only last hit gets all, but for the purpose of this release, it might be good enough. And then on a later release, on a later iteration, we can fix that and put a proper system in place, or a more first loot distribution system in place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
go ahead.
sorry, Chip. Just to say that this is a very interesting question about uh, how the whole world of Star Atlas will work, right? Are we going to make it like more realistic in terms of the cargo is there floating, whoever get it first get it, even if you didn't even participate in the combat, or you are going to have something more fair? I think a community pool around this question would be super cool, Santi, so we can measure what the community feels about this. Do you guys want to be scavengers, just waiting for other people's spoils, or do we want a fairer system? I think it would be super cool to see community reaction to this.
There's kind of another something I want to talk about. This is really early in our designs, but it might as well just get a heat check on what the community thinks. But we're also exploring the idea that similar to how you can go out and maybe not similar to SDUs, but how you can go out and explore for SDUs and accumulate them over time. Imagine that when you attack somebody or defend or retaliate back against an attack, there's a chance that you get some sort of item like a trophy or some sort of combat based item that essentially it means that you're still you have a chance to get rewarded for something even though if it's not loot. Imagine that every single time you attack somebody you roll a chance to get a combat trophy, or whatever we want to call it, and the last hit gets a higher chance, but every hit gets some chance. And then if you attack somebody that's egregiously more powerful or egregiously less powerful than you, it's a lower chance of getting one of those trophies. And then those trophies can go towards maybe your combat license. Maybe you need trophies to upgrade your combat license, or um, maybe there's some things that you can redeem your trophies for. So there's some sort of another layer of progression around combat that's not just go kill people and get loot. It can be go, attack people, get trophies, just or and particularly attack people that are around your level, because if you attack people way higher or way lower, you're not really going to get trophies because there'd be a lower chance of getting them. Um, you can do that, or you can try scavenging. You can try teaming up and looting the bots that are scanning for STUs. There's a lot of options there. It becomes interesting, but we're exploring the idea of adding another incentive to attack somebody.
Yeah, I created a poll called Combat Trophies, yes, no. So, guys, if you want to go to the Atlas Brew chat and vote, you can go and vote right now. If you
It's
like the idea,
overwhelming.
Yeah, and
if
maybe
you,
some ideas of what they can be called, because I don't think trophies is the right term, but
yeah,
we just a placeholder name for them.
The scavengers pool is very direct as well. People want to loot other people's hard work. Shame on you all,
it's
Legions.
yes to both. Yes to being able to
Yeah.
scavenge.
So by scavenging, it just means that you can pick up loot from an enemy that you didn't destroy, right?
Yeah,
I think no, I think what they we meant here was that if it's destroyed, anyone can come and loot the
yeah,
prize. Isn't that
exactly.
it?
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
The
So
the
okay, yeah,
thing
I
is,
think.
oh,
Go ahead,
sorry, go.
Giuliano. No, you're
No,
good.
I was because we were discussing this the other day, and a good example comes to mind, which is frustrating in this case. For instance, remember when you were playing Diablo 2 and you killed Val, and then Val was like a piñata, and then you have to click fast, to get the loot, right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
And that
race
is
conditions.
right. That is frustrating from a gameplay perspective. While this iterated and evolved in Diablo 3, you were able to see your own and loot your own loot. And if you were in party with other people, they were getting other loot, but no one can race to that loot. So I mean, I think that was an improvement on that system.
So
Now that is on a party system. If this is a free for all, and let's say that a scavenger comes and loots my loot, I can also kill him and loot him. But there
Exactly.
is a lot of variables coming on
the,
here.
and
Yeah.
one thing that I think I was discussing with Jacob, maybe even Brett. There's this idea that the loot container in a sector can be permissioned. So imagine that, just call it the MVP, where the last hit, the person who got the last hit, has permissions to open the loot container for a certain amount of time, say a minute. Then permissions are removed, and anybody can scan the sector, find the loot crate, and loot it as well. So, and then later, imagine that there's multiple loot crates based on the percentage of damage done. Those are permission to the player. They have to pick the loot that they earned. And if they don't do it in time, then it gets opened up for the scavengers. So yeah, I think there's some interesting options for us there to kind of. I agree with you, Julian. It's a really good point. We don't want race conditions. We don't want you to feel like I need a macro that I need to press to basically loot things as fast as possible, or else I'm
Right.
gonna not gonna get what I deserve. So, yeah,
Man, when you spoke about Baal, I remember how I got my Azure Ref on one of those raids, man. It was an adrenaline rush when he died and everyone trying to loot. But
I
on the other
know.
way, we can create other things like tractor beans cooldowns and things like that. Maybe it's not instantaneous. Maybe the loot is divided if lots of people are trying to get it with the tractor race. I think there are some
Yeah,
yeah. We need
that's
cool
tractor
true.
things we can
beams.
do.
I want tractor beam utility. So it's a good point. It
We do
needs,
have more
yeah,
options than Diablo, that's for sure. And
yeah.
the only thing that I'm cautious about is creating a race condition for the loot, and being it a free for all. I mean, it might sound great, but in practice, that hasn't been proven in the past. Every like loot piñata that were like race conditions for people to get the loot, it wasn't proven to be a good gameplay. I think we have more options to design something more elegant here.
Nice, nice.
Cool. Let's see if there are any community questions. I think we We have one more, but before we move from this topic, I would like to see if there's anything else that the community would like to ask.
I have a question on the topic. This is Ray Veazey from Rome here.
Yeah, sure.
So on the topic of what of combat, so me and shout out to Grist in the chat, we were talking about, and I mentioned how if you would have the losing team of a battle, whoever's involved in that battle, or it could be extend to the faction as a whole. I don't know. You guys tell me. But there's a timeout for using crew members, so that would impact the crafting, any plans they had scheduled. And then if they wanted to, they could do a payout in advance, like upfront after losing, and those rewards of the pay or that payout would be distributed to the winners of that battle, wherever it was and whoever was taking part in it. And I guess there's many ways to think and talk about this, but yeah, that was pretty much outside of hostage taking, right? Some type of a minor like debuff to the losers outside of what you might get RNG wise as a reward during the battle or until it concluded.
Sorry, I
Yeah,
didn't follow that. Did you, Giuliano? I maybe just repeat a little bit. A debuff associated for losing is what I kind of
Sure,
got.
sure. Yeah, so if you're in a battle and there's two groups of people, the losers have their crew or anything revolving around crew just frozen for a certain amount of time, where they wouldn't be able to utilize their crew in a way, maybe crafting or continuing to travel. Maybe that's too restrictive, but I'm just
Maybe
thinking off the top of my head.
a morale debuff almost.
Right, and then they could pay in advance, almost like similar to Heist and other games where you can accelerate to get utilization back, but those that payout goes towards the winners and across the people who won. Maybe.
Got it. Did you have a comment, Giuliano?
Yeah. You mean after a battle have a debuff? If I understood the question correctly,
Right.
what the system that we have in place penalizes you for losing a battle, right? And I think this is true in every design that we made for combat, right, Chip?
What's the penalty you're referring to?
For instance, if you are destroyed after a battle, then you will have to be hauled back to your CSS, and then you have to pay an Atlas fee in order if you want to speed up the process of recovery. Also, you are losing all your cargo, and you cannot utilize your crew, everything that you describe essentially.
And perhaps toolkits to repair your ship or
Yeah,
refounds. But it's
Okay.
significant. And
All
maybe
right,
that what you're saying, that Atlas, like if we were to try to extend your ideas, like that Atlas could go towards the winners, the respond.
Yeah, like there could be some type of split maybe between the winners, and then maybe a percentage goes to DAO. I don't know, thinking more ways of how it could be split up and benefit the whole community and the overall ecosystem.
We wanted some of that Atlas to go towards the players that maybe the tow ships that imagine that there's tow ships that are used to kind of pick up some of the wreckage or or even tow you if you get stranded. So I think a lot of those SOS situations, destruction situation, is going to be ripe for earnings for the utility ships, the repair, refuel, and the tow. But and then certainly some of the respawn fee was going to go towards the DAO. But yeah, I like the idea of somehow there being like exploring other reward mechanisms for the victors of a battle. I think it's cool.
Cool. Yeah, I wasn't sure that crew members specifically were impacted negatively, but from what Shula is saying, there is some type of unfortunate circumstance along with crew. Maybe like a pausing on what you can craft and how much you can craft because you lost the battle that you took part in. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and I think that'll come into play with when we start adding game systems surrounding crew members.
Well, the crew of any ship you lose in combat would already be frozen, though, right? So you're talking like the entire crew, like your entire crew.
Yeah. See, and it's still rough. It's a rough draft of an idea, but something where, yeah, that would be the case where like it kind of puts a wrench into your whole operations as an individual if you took part in a losing side of a battle. and you're just like, wow, okay, well, it makes you think twice about who you jump in with, why you're going to war, and then the consequences of that, not just what a percentage of what you'll lose if you lost, and then maybe paying an Atlas fee to get your ships repaired quicker, or because then you have all operations outside of battling, because there's a whole world outside of just battling that you might also, and the group you're with takes part in. So just thinking, 50-foot, 1,000-foot view type thing.
Yeah, we'll have to
Well,
explore if losing your cargo, losing access to your ship for a certain amount of time, and crew members on that ship, and an Atlas fee, and toolkits to repair it. That might be enough, but maybe we substitute or play with other
yeah.
ideas, like you're saying, surrounding some sort of
Yeah.
global. Like if you repeatedly go and lose battles, maybe there's some sort of global like debuff to.
They get injured,
Morale.
like crew members
Yeah.
get injured, go to the hospital, like some people
Yeah.
in the chat are saying.
You got an
Right.
injury timer or an infirmary timer.
Yeah, a fatigue or something of some sort like that, and then maybe on a faction level too. So if your faction is always going to war, and you're just a little guild, like, hey, I don't want to keep having this debuff impacting me. Can we try to do a diplomatic approach of some sort?
I do want. I really want, and this is. I don't know if we'll be able to support it very quickly, but I want like sector chat. I want to be able to like I think of RuneScape. I know in RuneScape had a big buying problem, right? And a lot of times, real players would ask somebody they suspect is a bot a question like, "Hey, what's up? What are you doing?" Or like, respond to me in a human way, and the bot would just be silent or say gibberish, and they would know that that's a bot. So imagine we had sector chat where you're running around, you're a bot hunting guild, and you're running around, and you kind of, whenever you encounter somebody you think's a bot, you ask that you engage in some sort of text chat channel for the sector, and depending on their response is whether or not you let them live, right? So
These
another
are
kind of
different
I
neat
love
data.
that.
way of
I love that.
yes, a social way of kind of also checking to see if they're human or not.
If there is a bot hunting guild, I would like to join, please.
Start it, dude. Be the lead, the guild leader.
There you go. I think that's against company policies, but okay. Mike won't know.
Cool. I don't know if there are checking again if there are any extra questions. Also want to be respectful of your guys' time here. Well, let's see if there are one or two more questions, and then we close. If not, we'll close. I see a lot of people typing in the chat.
ChatGPT. I think there's ways to trip up ChatGPT. Like you could ask it, hey, look in the Discord. I don't know how advanced AI is going to get, but there's always that in the foreseeable future. There's going to be a way to know if somebody's an AI or not. I just have faith that we'd come up with unique questions that we could ask. But
Yeah.
anyways, just an idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
How many envoys fit in a ballad?
Oh
That'll be
yeah.
known.
I see the question from Mandalorian. Drifting a little bit away from combat itself, but when will the team bring out approval for Ledger? Of course, it's a when question.
I'd have to
Hopefully
ask
we can.
Santi.
You have that?
I'd have to ask Santi. I don't know.
uh,
Santi, when?
man,
Can I get
they
when
think we
Santi's in
they
chat?
think we know. They think
Does
we
it work?
know. That's
Does it
the
work
best
here?
part.
Oh, it doesn't work.
You have to tag me. You have to tag me
Oh, yeah.
to get the GIF.
When? I know that the
Uh,
team is aware of that as a priority. I just don't know the answer to the when question.
yeah.
And the
Yeah,
gift didn't even work.
That GIF didn't work. Oh my god,
Yeah.
I'm disappointed.
We need that
I'm
fixed.
disappointed.
When
Yeah.
will that be fixed?
Company priority. Tag Michael Wagner to fix it. But yeah, the other question is when will claims be implemented? I think this is not. I wouldn't say this is like a date type of question, but more on when in the process of the evolution
So
of
we're
Sage.
we're yeah, we're always exploring how to get utility to all of our assets as soon as possible, right? And part of that was, well, claim stakes emit R4. We needed them to have utility, so we gave them some utility and faction claims. But I would anticipate we will start exploring getting faction claims actually used in Sage after combat. So, if you read the Sage manual from last December, Starbase upgrading and construction, LP, XP, combat, mining, scanning was added, not to the Sage manual, but based on how EV went. All of that was the V0 version of Sage, and then V1 was land operations. So it's still the plan to finish V0 scope and then move on to land claims. Obviously things can change, but that's how I still see things going forward.
Great. Thank you for the answer, Chip.
Mhm.
I think it's a good moment to close, just so we are respectful of everyone's time here. But definitely open invitation for you guys to join any other brew you want to join. Juliano, Chip, more than welcome anytime. I like to see that the bot is now working, tagging me with the correct GIF.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm
Thanks,
looking
man. It was a
fancy.
pleasure to be here, man.
Yeah, man. No, it's great to have you, fellow Argentinian World Cup champion. If you can say that.
Jesus.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it
Just
was
we'll
great
be
having you, man.
reminding you of that every day for the next 3 years, bro. Just
How
Oh,
many World Cups
yes.
you guys won, guys? How many?
Oh, come
let's
on.
talk about the
Don't
present,
start,
bro.
man. Don't start.
Yeah,
Who are the latest? That's all that matters.
yeah.
First time in 20 years.
Just
7-1, Jose. 7-1.
yeah. It's been like 21 years since you won it, so yeah. But let's close here the brew. Let's not get off topic. Chip, my friend, again, thank you so much for joining, man, and for all the insights into the game design side of things. So appreciate it. Thank you, Juliano. Thank you, Chip.
Yeah.
And again, open invitation for you guys. Probably we'll do a similar brew next month to see how Labs is evolving and where you guys are at with game design to keep everyone updated. Uh,
Nice.
but
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, as
yeah,
always, it's a
our
pleasure. I'm
pleasure.
looking forward to the next one. Hopefully,
Yeah.
more updates to talk about next month.
Awesome. And again, thank you, From Cracker, for reminding me. If any one of you here in the audience is attending Breakpoint, make sure to go to the Breakpoint 2023 channel and register for the events. Very important, so you don't miss it. And you can join the community meetups that we'll be hosting in there. And I just got confirmation that I'm going, so I would like to meet everyone there. So yeah, see you in Amsterdam. And for the Brew Crew, see you next week at the same time. As always. Bye bye.
Cheers, guys.
Hey, everybody.
Thanks again. Bye.
Ciao.
See ya.